Hey guys, back in the park, and love to talk about very quickly an idea that has been really helpful for me and could be a bit of a game changer for you in terms of the way you think about yourself in this world. Now, a lot of us stumble on that issue of being yourself when we come across an activity or an event, or we're nervous about something in advance and people tell us as kindly advice simply just to sort of let go and be yourself. And a lot of us, we go through life wondering why we feel stunted and held back and unable to express ourselves fully, and we feel shy, a bit anxious. We feel constricted, restricted, and unable to speak truth, unable to speak from our truth. And we think to ourselves, why can't I just be myself? Why can't I be me? Because you know what you're like when you're relaxed, you're at home, you're amongst family, you can feel you feel like you feel like you can say what you want to say, and there isn't a voice in your head saying, no, you don't want to say that, be careful, don't do that, don't do this. And of course, the result of you putting restrictions on yourself, putting barriers on yourself, is the resulting not feeling like yourself and not acting like yourself. And this might have held you back in many ways, like it has for me. So school time was a particularly strenuous, shall we say, experience for me in terms of experiencing those barriers that I had put on myself so that I was not who I really was, and I was shy and held back and reticent, wasn't able to speak up very much in class, and I have many regrets around that. But it's also taught me a lot, and I've been thinking about this a lot when I think about it in the sense of how I can be more myself and how I can help others be more themselves. And what I've come to is the idea that a lot of us put on these permanent personalities. We think we have a permanent personality. We think we are a certain way. This is a huge limit. This has been a huge limit in my life and a huge limit in other people that I've come across. And most of you. Most people have the barrier that they've put on themselves in thinking that they have a certain type of personality. They think to themselves, this is just who I am. I'm an introvert, I'm shy, and this is how I am in certain situations, and I can't change that. Let's reframe and see if this shifts anything. Let's see if this shifts the way you think about this issue of being yourself. Maybe this makes it easier to see how you can be yourself. So for me, the solution to this is simply in forgetting the idea that you have a permanent personality. Just forget about that for a second and be open to the possibility that our personality, our character, our way of being in the world is ever changing, is affected to some degree by our environment, but mostly, and perhaps 100%, it is molded by our thoughts in the moment. Would you agree? How we think a certain environment, a certain person sitting in front of you is, in your own perception of that, in your own labeling of that, in your own subjective viewpoint of that, is going to affect how you respond to that environment. And the fact that you've got this permanent personality that says, I'm always shy in these kinds of situations, you're probably going to react in a way that is expected. Would you agree? So when it comes to understanding that thought is at the root, how we think of ourselves in a particular environment and how we think of the environment, the way to change that is to ask ourselves questions that lead to different ways of thinking about things. Questioning is one of the most powerful tools any human has. Questioning leads to thought. Questioning leads to certain types of thought. Questioning is the ability to direct thought. And what questioning can do is change the way we think through how we ask certain types of questions, which leads me to the point. Let's not go with facts, let's just say that our personality at any given point is dependent on how we think of a certain situation. And how we think of a certain situation is dependent on the purpose we have in that environment. And really, I've come to the conclusion that it is our purpose, it is what we want out of a given situation that defines who we are at that given moment. We're constantly changing. We're fascinating people. We're just basically walking around in a meat sack with a soul in it, and our soul is the thing that is guiding our personality in a given moment, and it is our soul that it is purpose that is guiding our soul. I know that I'm getting a little bit complex here perhaps, but what I'm getting at is that purpose is the thing. So what we're trying to get out of a particular experience is going to define how we are, okay? And our purpose can be guided by our questions. Now bear with me, we're getting there. So let's take an example of me in a out of an experience I had when I was a kid. So thinking about me in class as a shy boy, not willing to speak up, being too scared to talk, I had a very specific purpose within that given class. My purpose came about through this question: what can I do to avoid making any mistakes? What can I do in this class to avoid looking like a fool? How can I avoid saying the wrong thing? My purpose sprung from that question. And in creating that purpose, I was reticent, I was shy, I was avoidant of looking stupid. Another question that you could ask in that same situation could be, what can I do to enjoy this? What can I do to make the most of this situation? Or how can I use this opportunity to inspire those around me? That creates an entirely new purpose. And guess what that purpose does to you? It changes who you are. You become no longer someone who is looking to avoid making mistakes. You become someone who is looking to bring value to the people around you. So whenever you find yourself in a situation where you feel a bit stunted, you feel a bit held back, ask yourself different questions. You are always asking yourself questions, whether you know it or not, that is leading to a specific outcome. And it is the outcome that you're moving towards that is going to define who you are in order to get to that outcome. This is how humans operate. We just create purpose after purpose after purpose after goal after goal. We're always looking for that target. And it is the questions we ask ourselves that create the target. So you have full control here. You have full control over your experience. So look to create interesting, uplifting purposes in your life. There could be an overarching mission, but there could be the day-by-day purpose. There could be the event-by-event purpose. So let's say you've got an interview coming up, and usually you'd be scared about coming across as shy, as stunted, as constricted. Perhaps it's because of the question you're asking yourself, or the purpose you have for that interview, which is to let's not look stupid, let's not come across as a fool. Well, then you're going to be focusing on that and you'll come across stunted, and that's going to be who you are in that interview. How about the question, how can I make the other person feel at ease? How can I make my interviewer feel relaxed? How can I demonstrate what is great in my world? How can I demonstrate my passion for this subject? And that's where your focus is going to be, and your focus will create who you are. So when someone says be yourself, a lot of us, we kind of think, okay, well, I don't really know who I am, and you end up trying to force something. You end up trying to be a certain way. You force a smile. You try and be all bubbly and cool. But really, it's not going to work authentically if the underlying question is still, how can I avoid looking like an idiot? Your authentic bubbliness and good humor will come out of a clear question that says, how can I enjoy this? How can I enjoy this moment? How can I turn this moment into an extraordinary moment? Suddenly all eyes are off you. You're no longer concerned with hiding and avoiding. You're concerned with the present. You're concerned with injecting positivity into that environment, and that is going to make you a very relaxed, a very purposeful and positive person, and that's who you're going to be. I was going to try and keep this within 10 minutes, but I thought this was too good an idea to let me sort of glide over it, because I think a lot of people have trouble with this. I think a lot of people have an issue with thinking that they need to be a certain way and forcing the way that they are, when really the key is in asking better questions, asking questions that will create interesting, uplifting, meaningful purpose in every interaction you have. So use questions as a powerful tool to bring about good experiences. And more than anything else, use purpose and questioning to help you be yourself. You are your purpose, in a nutshell. Whatever your purpose is at any given point, whatever your aim, whatever your target, whatever your goal, they're all different labels for the same thing. Whatever your mission, that is who you are. And the juicier and more interesting your mission, the more enlivened you're going to be by that. Make sense? If you've got questions about this, throw them in the comment section below. Love to hear your feedback, and make sure you're hooked in to more of these videos by subscribing wherever you're seeing this through. And always love a like. Signing out, guys. Pleasure as always. Have a great day.